What have we got here?
This is some beds we made up a couple of years ago.
Yep.
We always said we wouldn't do raised beds, but these logs came my way, these bits of timber came my way, and we wanted to tidy this area up a bit. And lo and behold, we got some pretty small raised beds. And we got some free compost, always a plus, very, very good compost, which produces these wonderful crops. And in a way, this is how I've always been a horticulturalist.
Yeah.
Had my own business before, then worked for the National Trust for a while. I used to be a tree surgeon for a while. And it was just a few years ago I got asked to run a local workshop pruning trees. I had 2 days' notice to deliver a workshop on pruning apple trees.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, no bother, I'll go and do that, not a problem. Because in horticulture you have transferable skills.
Yeah.
And if you know how to grow one plant, you can usually, with a bit of experience, work out how to grow another plant. And I've always grown fruit trees in my garden. Every garden we've moved, and when we first came out to Scotland 23 years ago, we had fruit trees. And before that, we've always had fruit trees. So I've always been learning.
Yeah.
And always interested in growing fruit, soft fruit and vegetables and top fruit as well. And I suppose planting these cordons down here, there used to be a hedge.
Yeah.
It used to be a privet hedge. And okay, the blackbird used to like it, but I used to get really annoyed at trimming it every year. So when I was a bit younger, I had a bit of energy and I pulled the hedge out. It was a major, major job to pull this hedge out. But if you look today, I got, I don't know what it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 cordons.
15 cordons.
Varieties of fruit
Excellent.
trees,
Yeah.
just in this small space, which used to be a privet hedge. So everybody, the answer to get crops in your garden, you haven't got room, pull out your hedge, plant cordon fruit trees.
Excellent.
It's a really good idea.
That's. I mean, I was speaking to you earlier about that. That I'd had that as an idea of, you know, a kind of
I
an
think
offering.
it's a fantastic idea.
Thank you.
We're all in favour. My wife Margaret is very, very passionate about edible landscapes. She's been teaching for more than 20 years about edible landscapes before it became fashionable. And we've always been passionate about foraging and about producing food. And this is just, well, the culmination really, this garden here, of growing our vegetables, growing our fruit, and having these wonderful varieties. Some of them Scottish, some of them English, some of them French, some American, even an American variety in here in actual fact, Belgium. To grow these varieties and also to learn.
Yep.
I'm always learning. I have my way of doing things. I've learned how to do things. When I deliver my courses, I'm always very keen to say, this is one way of doing things. It's not necessarily the only way.
Yeah.
Which is really, really important. That people go and they learn themselves after they've listened to me, taking some ideas on board and take them away. And for me, it's transferable skills. I didn't necessarily know how to teach pruning fruit trees, but I thought, well, how do I do it? What's successful? What works? And I've taught on that basis. And although these aren't particularly good examples because they're not necessarily grown for fruit, these are grown for the propagation.
For the propagation. So these would usually be thinned out a little more.
Yeah,
if you're wanting.
much thinner.
Yeah.
They'd basically be a single stem. But now's the time of year. We're in July, and now's the time of year when all these should be pruned back, and that's summer pruning.
Yeah.
You prune them back to a few buds. Every single one of these shoots gets pruned back to uncover any fruit that might be lying in the depths to help to ripen them up, and that's the great advantage.
So the thing that comes across very much for me in this garden, hi Margaret, how are you doing?
Hiya.
You can show off your vegetables, Margaret?
Yeah, it's like a whole permaculture, you know, it feels like, you know, you've got the animals up there as well, the fruit trees, the vegetables, the bees as well, the honey bees, yeah. So
bees are the most important thing in the garden.
Is that something you've always been interested in, the I don't know if you call it permaculture or just growing your own food?
Forest gardening.
Forest gardening, yeah.
And not the whole garden isn't a forest garden.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, fairly basic standard vegetable beds, raised beds, which are just grown in a very conventional way. Then you've got sort of in-between ones with flowers growing in them. Behind you, you've got the sweet peas and the loosestrife and the yarrow and so on, sunflowers. Mixed in And then we have beds which are just meant to be forest garden beds.
Were you at all influenced by like Robert Hart or people like that?
Yeah, very much so. But
Yeah.
a lot of what Robert Hart said, and a lot of, well, not so much Robert Hart, but a lot of the permaculture people, it all seemed to apply a lot more to a very warm climate.
Right. Okay.
And I think the term forest gardening better describes what we can do in Scotland, to be honest.
Well, what I've heard, I heard someone say you can't really do a forest because you can't get the sunlight. You can only do that in the tropics where you can get a lot of heat to come down, but you can't do that so much here. So it's actually, you can't really do a forest garden, but it's,
Not really, no.
yeah.
It's more like a woodland edge garden, I suppose.
yeah. Well, that's great as well. So you've been teaching as well. You teach, is it horticulture or?
Yeah, used to teach horticulture professionally, and still do it in the form of workshops and things.
Excellent. And how can people find you guys if they want to get in touch or learn more or buy some trees or learn something? Or
The website, plantsandapples.co.uk.
Great.
Yeah, and all the contact details are on there really.
Excellent.
We have a happenings page, so there's whatever's coming
happening
along will be on there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thanks Margaret, thanks for letting me come today. Really enjoyed it and had a really great time wandering about and learning so much from you guys. So I hope to come back soon. Oh, there's a dog as well.
And there's the dog, yeah.
Having a hamburger.
Go and get it then, Jet. You let it roll down there. Go and fetch your hamburger. Where's Burger? Go on.